Boop boop ba doop boo. Boop 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 boo boo. Ha! Oh, I look all pressed together on the system here. Yo, what's good, everyone? Let me get this Twitter Spaces going. All right. Okay, so we are live and ready to rock and roll. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me just do my little test here. I got my little coffee. I got my little energies. We are ready to go. Yo, Jay, what's going on? So let me go ahead and mute this real quick to test to see how this sounds on my end. So it looks like everything is working just as fine as it needs to be. I'm glad that it works. So we have this streaming simultaneously on YouTube, and well, obviously you're on YouTube, so clearly. And then we also have it running on the Twitter space. Yo, what is going on, Immortal? He is in the Twitter spaces right now. We're going to actually do something a little bit different. So, and what's going on, Fado? What I want to do in this case is to kind of like, I want the sound quality to be a little better than what it was. It's always muffled. This one's a little clearer, but it has some background noise that I'm not really liking, but that's okay. It is what it is. I mean, maybe if I get like 1,000 subscribers and shit like that, then maybe I could do something a little better. Other than that, I ain't going all out like that. Unless it sounds too bad. But I'm not one for all. I'm not one for introductions and intros. So let's get straight to it. Let's just get straight to the point. We got some interesting self-made topics here that I wanted to kind of go over. I've really wanted to go over these topics for a while now. I didn't really want to say anything about it, but I was like, maybe I should, because apparently it doesn't matter either way I look at it. So, two topics here. The first topic will be about woke culture hurting the gaming community, which I truthfully do believe that it hurts the gaming community for sure. I do. I think that it's detrimental for creativity. I honestly do. And I know there was Black, Immortal Black. He brought up some really good topics or conversations regarding this. And I wanted to kind of like shout him out with this as well. Like I really did. Because on the outside, it really shouldn't matter, should it? It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. I'm going to show you guys what he ended up saying. And I do agree with him, but I wanted to kind of elaborate on what I wanted to say about this here. So let me just take a look here. So, and then let me get to it too. I totally fucked up on this one. So my apologies. Two topics: woke culture hurting the gaming, and then who's the better publisher out of the major three, right? Or I shouldn't say major because technically there's that other one, that's the China one or whatever the case is. That's not. I mean consoles, out of consoles. So let's be completely clear on that one, right? So we'll talk about both. And believe it or not, these two topics are not exclusive with each other. These are handling different aspects of of a topic. So, without further delay here, I wanted to actually tell you guys, listen, if you like the YouTube content, it is Illicit Therapy on YouTube as well. Go ahead, give that a follow and a like. And if you like the content in the spaces, go ahead and like and retweet. That'll be great. All of the information is in this in the Twitter spaces. So let's get to the point. Woke culture in gaming community. So what I ended up saying about this, let me just give you a little monologue of what I essentially mean. A lot of people, we see a lot of woke content, right? And it's almost like a meme. Everyone, it's kind of like saying the Illuminati at this point in time. You know, when you say woke, the people who are mentioning what they've seen about woke are the same people that are getting ridiculed and made fun of because of it, until, you know, the inevitable happens, which will be in this case. And probably people won't even know that it's taken over, which is my particular issue of the situation. No, necessarily woke, which is to be, you know, politically, you know, aligned. The meaning completely changed. The woke was supposed to mean, you know, you're awake to the subliminals of society and things of that nature. You know what I mean? You're more conscious of what's going on. And just like when it comes to like the Illuminati and all the other good shit, people don't want to, you know, people now it's ridiculed because the entire media is on this woke kick. And is there anything sinister behind it? I don't think so. I think what's happening is that companies and corporations want money, and the consumer wants attention, and that's where we're at now. You know, so I feel like we're in like this whirlpool, this spiral going downwards in terms of creativity, in terms of freedom of speech, and all this other stuff that happens, and you may not see it so apparent, right? It's not going to be known. Let me just double check my fucking YouTube, so bear with me here. Hold on. Let me mute real quick. All right, so it did work. Okay. So you may not even notice the little nuances and things that are changing over time. You may not notice it. You may not notice what's going on. It's probably a little bit here, you know. A creator that creates a female that wants that female in his head or her head, whoever it may have a fantasy about making a female that they wanted. Maybe they like big breasts, maybe they like big butts, you know what I mean? And so they're human too. They make a character, right? With big breasts, big butt, a la Lara Croft, right? And because we are in the climate that we are in when it comes to hypersensitivity, I'll put it that way, someone's going to get offended by all the attention that said character that was created, that's not even real, would get. So what happens? On social media, it gets immediately retweeted, or whatever they do in social media, right? Whatever they do, it gets immediately sent that way, right? Oh, this company is promoting the male gaze. This company is promoting unrealistic proportions. This company is reporting this and that and this and this and this. And of course, there's other people that are going to not align with that type of, they're not going to align with that. You know, they're going to align with what the complainer is actually complaining about. Because they probably are in the same place. Say the person that is complaining about this character, this made-up character that has exaggerated assets, right? That person may want those exaggerated assets, like the attention that character, made-up character gets, and complain. And then you get some other person, because, you know, opinions can align, that's true, it can align. They jump on that particular bandwagon, and it will catch a steam, it will catch snow and create this giant snowball where the entity, whoever created this, has to respond. They have to respond to this. And this is where we have the compromised gaming. This is just a character. So you could technically have whatever character, right? It still have the same gameplay. That's not the same. That's not a problem. So a lot of people, when it came to The Last of Us, they gravitated towards Joel for him being as masculine as he is. So the gameplay is still the same. You crouch and walk around and stuff like that. But then, what if you had a problem with that type of position of a main character? What if that's toxic masculinity, right? Now someone's going to complain about there's too many white male characters within the game, so they make a character that's a female, and then they go ahead and it's the same gameplay. So on the outside looking in, it's not compromising gameplay yet. That's the problem that we have. So now it's spilling out past aesthetics. It's changing stories that's in the game, because there are too many people with too many opinions that have too much power when it comes to the social media. And I'm going to read what Immortal Black says because I think he makes a great point in the ideal setting. So he responds to me. I wish you would have typed better than this shit. The reason why entertainment is vast in scope, people can choose what is in their best interest also. Not trying to cop out, but everything's supposed to interest everyone. I believe, and you believe, creativity. I'm going to autocorrect your ass unless you come in and correct me. Have the right to do as they please and see fit with their narrative as a consumer. You also have the right not to purchase anything that offends you, or if you're sensitive or sensible, or your sensibility. Whether it politics, religion, sexual orientation, consumer choice is in their hands. Now, right? I'm going to propose an idea. I like burgers. I like the taste of cow. Great shit. A vegan may not like that shit at all, right? Now it's up to me to continue to buy beef, right? If I like it. But what if the companies, if these vegans cry loud enough, alter or they alter the trajectory of that company? What if the company doesn't want to hear the backlash of all these squeaky wheels, right? And they decide to, stop making beef products for whatever political, religious, whatever reason that they have, right? So now that is going to directly impact me. Either I have to conform to my eating habits or conform to their eating habits because it's offensive, and most of these companies are going to be like, I don't do beef. We don't do beef. No one does beef. So now I'm impacted, right? Because of the social norms of this, for lack of a better phrase. But also, what if, because none of these companies is buying the beef and burgers anymore, now you affect the farmers. Now they don't need to invest that much into, or it'd be more expensive to invest in beef at this point in time, right? Because no one's actually picking up the tabs and the labor that it costs to make all this shit happen. So they succumb also to vegan products. Now you got a big fucking issue. Of course, somebody's going to be out there in the interverse and sit there and say, "Oh, this is an extreme example. You can't say that. That's food. Food doesn't do that." Woo, woo, woo. Right? That's what we hear typically. I wouldn't have a problem with it if people did exactly what you said. I wouldn't have a problem. Look, if you're on YouTube, I'm seeing this now. Now Miss Piggy is about to get canceled. Now she's about to get canceled. Lordy. This is this whirlpool that I was referring to earlier. This is the whirlpool that I was referring to earlier. Because everyone doesn't like something. Depends on how much they feel about this thing will depend on how much how much effort they put into blasting this shit on social media. These company entities at this point in time, remember in the 90s, sex sold. It sells now, but at the time there was like 99% of males that would actually play video games. So it really didn't matter. They were trying to sell to the male demographic. Now you have multiple people here, and now we got an issue. They have one way of doing it. Shit, it's fucking a lot of men in general that jumped into the fray and created their own video games and their company. It was a man that did that shit. Fine. You know what I mean? So now, because of the social norms, he has to make sure that he caters to other ideologies. And then have to hire other people, different people that's not him. And then have to weigh the pros and the cons and the profits and stuff like that to see if it's worth it. But this is when it starts this is when it starts fucking everything up, right? It starts fucking everything up when you start changing how things work. So I'm going to obviously mention The Last of Us, right? I'm going to mention The Last of Us Part 2. Because you could still have a lesbian character or a gay character. It could have been Bill. We could have had adventures of fucking Bill from the first The Last of Us, and that would have been fine. I would have bought it. He was so much of a well-written character. I like that character's personality. But what happens with identity politics, right, is that they like to take their politics and exalt it, right? They put it on the pedestal, right? That's what they end up doing. They put it on the pedestal. So they can't have a character within their politic to have any kind of bad nature. They can't do that. So when they do create characters, they create what we call, what is it? I forgot what it is. I can't think of it. I don't feel like looking on my phones. I'm gonna fuck up the whole shit. Mary Sue characters, where they are just completely virtuous. They have all of the pro characteristics and everything else, which I believe that's probably one of the issues that people have with Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. The character just doesn't have any flaws. She's strong as hell. She's the smartest person, one of the smartest people on Earth. You know, she's an attractive character. They modeled her after a model. And it's like, what flaws does she have? You know what I mean? People can't connect with it. Eventually, though, I will say this. There are some smart people out there that will probably change the course of time, right? Change the course of this direction of being woke and, making sure that your character checks all of these boxes. Making sure your storyline checks all these boxes. Going back to The Last of Us Part 2, right? Like I said before, it isn't the character that I ever had a problem with. It's how the story kind of unfolded. That was always the issue. The story didn't unfold properly. It didn't fold well. You know what I mean? Unfold well, rather. That was always my particular issue. Because you could have had what they ended up doing was making this game that checked every single box. And then because humans have a propensity to kind of realize they could see through things, right? Some people started picking it out. Now, there's societal norms that says that you can't pick things out. Like, again, in Norse mythology, I'm sure there was one or two black people somewhere along the lines that traveled or whatever the case is. And a lot of these characters in God of War, right? In Norse mythology, they didn't have defined features. They didn't say anything about they didn't describe, rather, the characters and what they look like. Other than like Thor, I think he was known to have red hair or whatever, but they didn't really say anything. So I want to say this. So when it comes to black people, especially Africans, we're not known to have red hair. Take that, Little Mermaid. We don't have red hair. We don't have red hair. If you do find a black person that has red hair, is because they're probably mixed with Irish, and this was during the slave trade and all the other stuff that was going on, the mixing of the races. But naturally, an African does not have red hair. What you would see in Africa is black people with blonde hair because of the sun. The sun actually destroyed the pigmentation altogether. That's what ended up happening. So they didn't really mention anything about dark-skinned people in Norse mythology frequently. But a lot of these companies, including Sony, takes the liberties and they say, hey, well, I want to be inclusive and I don't want nobody to complain about my fucking product and just have a white fucking product. But I'm like, it's accurate to the story that you're telling. And then you get into this other argument, which is the whirlpool that I was talking about. They're just made up characters. Okay, so why do you care what they look like if they're made up characters? Is the answer, is the question that I would have for these people. So we got this race swaps that we're dealing with as well. So that's the thing that really irritates me when it comes to this. Now also, that's just aesthetics. A lot of these people want to take it they want to take it a step further and try to rewrite history or just rewrite in general what something is. And sometimes they don't rewrite it. Sometimes it's like they create new content, sort of like God of War, borrow some elements from here and there, but then they also know that someone's going to say something about this product, if it's going to be misogynist or whatever the case is. It always leans to something, and that's the biggest problem. Right now, it's cool to hate men. You know what I mean? It's cool to exalt women. So that's what we're dealing with. So all of these companies want to artificially exalt any kind of feminine energy. But then they always inject it with these masculine qualities, such as Aloy, that's stronger than a man. You know what I mean? Doesn't have any emotions, very stoic as a character. But then these same people will complain about toxic masculinity and say that stoic is an issue, but it only depends on what gender it falls on. That's one of the particular issues that I have an issue with, right? A lot of people, a lot of gamers, a lot of people on Twitter, because Twitter is definitely a left-leaning platform, they don't want to talk about this shit. They don't want to talk about this. This ain't it. This is the conversation that isn't it. Because society says that you're supposed to accept this. You have no choice but to accept it or you'll be ostracized out of society. And humans are very social. So what happens is that you get a lot of people that follow the norm. That's what you get. You get a lot of people that follow the norm, regardless of how they feel about it. Remember, back in the day, there were a whole bunch of different societal norms, such as lynching. I'm sure there was some white people that did not like seeing a human be hung. I'm pretty sure of it. But society said it was okay. And to hang them black people, who cares about them? They're subhuman, who cares? They were going to do something bad anyway, right? And they had to go along with it, with society. It's dark. It got real dark, didn't it, for a gaming topic? But that's the truth. Like I said, going back to The Last of Us, Part 2, they made sure they touched every single topic here. They made sure that they touched sexuality, race, when it came to the Lev character, toxic masculinity, when it came to Joel, he had to go. Body positivity, because, Abby. Politics, stating about religion is ass. They mentioned that too. That was the Seraphites, and say how much of a zealot people that have a religion is and how crazy they are. They checked every single box. So whatever storyline that they had, that could have been just very simple, could have been just a revenge plot from some girl that had her dad killed by another character. Nope, it had to be all of these other things that went along with it, because they just had to check all the boxes to prevent any concerns or complaints from other people. Now you're getting into the territory where it's affecting the storyline. So whoever had creative freedom for the storyline don't have creative freedom anymore. There's also the blood and gore when it comes to games. There's that too, right? Sony has been taking this trajectory to not be as violent unless they have something to protect them from complainers. And usually it's the LGBT, so or feminists. So you'll have a female character, and she could do all sorts of violent shit, up to and including killing the precious doggies that no one want to see that innocent animal get killed. You can kill dogs. You can kill pregnant people. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can be as bloody as you need it to be. No one can say anything because society states that by nature, woman doesn't have negative intentions and are not toxic. That's what society claims. That's the problem. You cannot have a male character that will do the things that Ellie did in The Last of Us Part 2. You definitely cannot do it. Nor can you have a character that is a strong and smart guy like the Horizon. If this character is smart, they have to be black. If this character is smart, he has to be evil. These are all subtleties, right? That you won't pick up on. This is where the original definition of the phrase or the slang woke came from. So now you got all these corporate entities are trying to protect themselves from people with opinions that could devastate their bottom line, is what you're getting. That's what you're getting. That's what you got. That literally changes the course of any corporation because of this. Social media is a disease. I'm not going to lie to you. It's terrible. It's too much power. Too much power. It changes too fucking much. Too many people have opinions, and people do public fucking lynchings every time for human shit. You can slip up fucking once, and I'm talking about the benign shit. Say maybe somebody from long ago, maybe like, I don't know, 10 years ago, let's just say 5 years ago, was repeating a rap lyric that said nigga in it. There will be a public lynching of that dude if someone is looking for fucking trouble, and they will go after this dude and have a whole bunch of societal crazy people or people that are just moral busybodies. They just need to feel that validation of change and be morally correct. So they will lynch that person regardless of whatever mistakes it is, unless that person aligns with what they like in terms of politics or race or charisma. By all means, right? What the fuck is his name? Robert Downey Jr. should have been canceled like a motherfucker for making that movie Tropical Thunder. Straight up blackface. But you know why he wasn't canceled? He wasn't canceled because people like him. They like Iron Man. He had charisma. But notice how his trajectory changed too. He was a ladies' man. He was a playboy, right? They eliminated his ass, right? They eliminated that portion of him because people started to complain. Oh, he's a womanizer and all this other shit. So I'm gonna propose something to you, right? Cast of Jurassic Park. I can't spell worth shit, so y'all seeing this shit in real time. But maybe you do. Yeah, you do. I wish I had like Google or whatever the case is, so I'd be able to see it. So I'm trying to find out the guy that was in Jurassic Park, and I think I'm not going to be able to find this bastard. Hold on, let me do it on my phone because I want to make a point here. Cast of Jurassic World. So, okay, cool. So I got it. Now, if Chris Pratt had the same role, because everyone hates Chris Pratt, that is kind of a liberal, right? If Chris Pratt assumed the role of Tropical Thunder and painted his face black, he will be canceled like no fucking other. It will be a shame. on how canceled this dude would have been. He would have been absolutely eliminated because they don't like him. They don't like the guy. And the funny thing is, it's like, where does this end? It doesn't. Someone's going to feel some kind of way about something at some point. That's what happens with all this stuff. So, but you can't go back. That's the problem. You can't go back. You can't go back. Once you give these people, anybody, this particular power, now you got to commit to it. So you got to fight fire with fire, and it's going to just lead to massive censorship. That's what it's going to lead to. It's bad enough like Bayonetta, right? They literally had to put a mode in there to stop the scantily clad shit in a mature game. You know what I mean? Mortal Kombat had to change their characters up, and they mentioned some politics. I believe one of them was something about Trump. So he mentioned that shit too in the game. And it leans to one person. What if you did like Trump? What if? But society says that you're not supposed to like Trump. But what happened if you had a rational reason as to why? Let's say that you just like the politics and hated the guy. It doesn't matter. You're not supposed to like anything of this person. Because everything is cliquey when it comes to social media and just social norms. I put Angrboda in this let me see here. Yeah, I know he went to jail many years ago. I put Angrboda in here, right? Not that I care about her being black or not. I really don't. But sometimes as a black man, you got to ask the question, why did you make that? Why did you do that? You know what I mean? Like, why did you go against the grain knowing that Norse mythology isn't near Africa and you decided to do that? You know what I mean? You got to ask the question. So Jay says Robert Downey Jr. has a drug addiction and went to jail a few years ago. That's right. That's right. And he ended up redeeming himself with a really good role in when the world wasn't as politically charged as it is. You know what I mean? He made Iron Man, then he made Tropical Thunder, and then that's what it was. But that you gotta ask yourself this question. I guarantee you, Chris Pratt couldn't do that fucking role. The same exact role, same exact script. He wouldn't be able to do it because he's not socially accepted. That's the problem. That's the problem. And I'm telling you this as a black man because I see this shit all the time. I see colorism, I see racism, I see all of it. I see it on my end that people say that black people can't be racist. Yes, the fuck you can. Yes, you can. Yep. You can definitely be racist. You can be prejudiced. Anybody can be prejudiced or racist. That's anybody can. Really. Let's not go there. He redeemed himself way before cancel culture was a thing. Or at least a major thing. Let's not do that. I don't really have a problem with you making characters, but that's the thing. As an artist, I used to draw a lot when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So I would have hated the fact that I would have the quota to make something I didn't want to make. Or wasn't in my original designs. My question to these corporations would be why? Why? For what? I wouldn't have gotten a job, you know what I'm saying, if that's the case, if I'm not drawing what I'm drawing. So many things, and this is what's happening, right? Everything has become so separated. Everything is so separated right now. You got white versus blacks versus every other fucking race. You got police versus civilians. You have, government versus the people. You have women versus men. You have straight versus gays. It's so much division. And that's going to cause a lot of issues because what happens is, since you can't go back, you have to commit. Like I said before, you have to commit. So that means that since I can't take this back, whatever I said that was wrong, and you guys made me not do it anymore, then I'm going to look for shit that isn't socially accepted on your end. What are you doing? And it just goes back and forth till nobody's able to do anything. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Shame, really. Shame, really. It's a shame that no one can really they don't want to speak out. And here's the crazy thing, too. The crazy thing about all of this is that you would think people would be intelligent enough to see this, but they're not. They're so brainwashed. Really, it's the only way I could really put it. They're so brainwashed into being accepted in society that they just let go of all of their common sense, and they just want to be accepted so badly that they're just going to accept whatever the norm is. A lot of these people that makes these that get butthurt all the time, they get offended, are usually broken people looking for validation. Broken, mentally jacked up people that is looking for validation. And that's what we're following. Broken, jacked up people. They grown in power so much so that that's who we are. That's who we're being led by, according to corporations. Shame. Getting right to the point of the second topic here is, let's lighten this up a little bit. Actually, it's hot. Talk about this shit is, it's crazy. I'm just saying. Give yourself think about it. Take a quick couple of moments to think about this and where things are going. I guarantee you, at some point, it's going to affect what you like, and they are going to use the same rhetoric and the same rebuttal that you use to them. Someone's going to do something to change what you like, and you're going to get pissed off, and then everybody's going to say to you, well, it's just a fictional character. You're a bigot for doing this. How come this person can't do this? So then the corporations have to actually react to that and then take away their shit. Then that other person would complain about something on your end, and they take away their shit. Don't you see it, though? Y'all don't see it? Y'all don't see it happening? For real? Word. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm stupid. Could be. But anyway, let's lighten this up. So, the second topic is here, the better publisher. And I was thinking about this. We have Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, right? Three of the heavy hitters, three of the most influential companies in gaming history. Now let's kind of take it simple, take it slow, like a virgin, and then dig into this, right? Let's do it that way. Let's take a look at a simplified version of each company, just to kind of get a climate or an idea of who does what, right? Just to get an idea, just a little bit of idea, a little bit of ASMR. No, I'm just playing. So let's start with Nintendo, because they are the ones that saved gaming from mediocrity. You had Atari that was doing their shitty thing, right? Atari literally just did not care at all but making profit. I believe that E.T. game that they've made and published to capitalize on an E.T. movie absolutely flopped and destroyed that company and anything that was near it. That's when Nintendo kind of stepped in there and created something decent enough where it has enough quality where people was like, okay, I can feel this. I like this. I like it. And then they kind of turned things around as successful as they possibly could. Nintendo was not known as a publisher, but Nintendo on their own platform, they are publishers, obviously, and they do allow for games to be on their platform, right? Cool. Well, let's look at the games that they made. You made the Marios, I don't think that they had platformers back then like that. Regardless of the matter is, they had Mario, and other platform or other companies had the little copycat phase where they did their own version of a platformer. You got Rare that did Donkey Kong Country. This is an IP from Nintendo anyway, and they just commissioned another company to do it. They had Mario Kart, which didn't exist. That type of genre of gaming, or that gaming genre didn't exist. So a lot of creations, they pioneered platforming, right? These are things that you could definitively say that they created the fun in gaming, in the innovation of gaming. And every console iteration, they pushed it a step further. First, it was 2D, then it was 3D. Then they created the Smash Brothers fighting game, fighting genre, where you had a clash of all these different IPs coming together. I mean, then they commissioned, well, Capcom went to them and they made sure that they were handled when it came to Resident Evil. To me, all the IPs that they created, they are known for the IPs and the quality that they have created. The IPs specifically are the things that really make Nintendo. Then on top of it, once you couldn't really innovate anymore, they sat there and they made a console. Oh, they made the handheld too. Shit, nobody was really fucking with handhelds of that caliber where you could just swap the games out and shit like that. Portable gaming. They made that shit too. Beautiful. They were just fucking killing it. If it wasn't the quality, they made hardware, even if it failed. Virtual Boy, you know, that was like the what do you call it? The predecessor to VR, right? Beautiful. That gave me a headache. I actually wanted when I was younger. I was like, I want that. I want it. Please. And I didn't get it. I almost got it though, which was pretty crazy. I almost got a fucking Virtual Boy. Almost. I almost got one. Almost. And something happened where I couldn't get it just altogether. Even though I had a headache, I still wanted that shit. I just thought it was so cool to have something 3D, right? So you had that going on. You had the Wii. Oh, I forgot the fucking Rumble and the standardized Rumble and the standardized analog sticks. All these things to advance gaming. You know what I mean? If it wasn't like gameplay, it was hardware. You know, so you had the controller, you had the handheld. They killed it with the handheld. What else did they have? They had the Wii. You know what I mean? They couldn't beat them. They just made their own fucking path. They went crazy. They allowed for more people to try to play gaming and stuff like that, right? And then they made the Wii U, which was a predecessor to the Switch. Something where you can take console gaming and make it into a handheld and back again. I say that they're good. They are awesome in my book. A+ for them, right? That's what I would say. Let's go to Sony. Sony, they had Nintendo, let me go back to Nintendo really quickly. Nintendo actually, their idea was to innovate games, make them fun. Fun was their mantra. Good stuff, right? So let's talk about Sony now. Sony games was supposed to be that cinematic, realistic experience. Otherworldly, other universes basically built onto a compact disc or into a compact disc. And they also did innovate as well. They would take innovations elsewhere and then they would just like literally maximize the innovation. So let's go to Nintendo, Sony. We're not going to talk about the CD-ROM necessarily because that doesn't really innovate other than the fact that they were able to put full motion videos on there. The games could be larger, and they have better quality soundtracks, sound effects. They had their pros and cons, stuff like that. But it actually, CD-ROM made games cheaper, believe it or not. So the things that they innovated on was the 3D as well. They were hell bent on developers making 3D games. They rejected 2D games most of the time. And they exalted 3D games. They funded your shit. They found certain certain genres and certain IPs, and they funded those things if it pushed that 3D agenda that they were kind of pushing, or cinematic agenda. So it gave birth to other types of platforms that could be a little bit more realistic. It gave birth to Tomb Raider, cinematic camera, cinematic animations, stuff that Nintendo wouldn't allow because of the fun and gaming for everyone type gameplay that they were looking for. They had stuff like Final Fantasy, which it was possible because they had that disc and you didn't have to switch cartridges, so that was awesome as well. They eventually revised the controller and made the DualShock. Two analog sticks, one that controls the character and the other one that controls the camera. So more fluid than what you would find on any console at the time. The dual, no one did that. They also had the rumbles that were built into the controller. That way, every developer can use that same kit and be fine with it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about who doesn't have what. That was the thing, which was awesome, right? So you had that shit going on. Cool. You also they pushed graphics like a motherfucker, and they didn't stop with rated E for everyone games. So you had games like Silent Hill, you had things like Tomb Raider, Resident Evil. It created, Sony allowed for a lot of stuff that Nintendo wouldn't allow. These mature rated games, bloody, you know what I mean? They elevated the gaming space to be even more mainstream than what Nintendo made it. And when they moved to PS2, it was kicked off even further. We started because of the graphics that they were trying to promote. You had real actors. Samuel L. Jackson for Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? All of these particular people and like motion capture, the Metal Gear Solid 2s and 3s. You know what I'm saying? You know, just so many different games that pushed the envelope and still kept things fun. You had the PS3 era, which allowed for games like Uncharted, which basically all these blockbuster scenes and stuff like that spawned from Nintendo, from PlayStation. No one was really doing set pieces like that except for PlayStation. You had Uncharted doing it, you had The Last of Us doing it, you had Killzone doing it, you had MotorStorm doing it. All their games had this big, complete cinematic flair, which they always kept that DNA from the first game. PS4 took it another level. Now, even though you had blockbuster experiences, towards the tail end of the PS3, going into the PS4, now they started making stories that were worthy of the silver screen and Netflix. So they took the cinematic experience and really made it fucking cinematic. Like really, you got Detroit Become Human, really good shit. I mean, and it spawned that type of relationship. Hold on, let me just test it. All right, cool, that worked. But yeah, they really spawned such wonderful gameplay, and it was like you were watching a movie. And believe it or not, let me just say this, because it's so many innovations. Like damn, like I don't even have enough time to mention all this shit. It's so ridiculous, but I'll try to do my best. I think Sony, because of the cinematic experience, they made it so, an emotional experience. They made it so that women could, because you know women are different from men. You know what I mean? Women like emotion, dramas, and stuff like that. That's scientific. So they started playing The Last of Us, right? And feel that emotion between father and daughter. You know what I'm saying? And father and son with God of War. You know. And betrayal and love interest of the Uncharted and stuff like that. They really started pushing this. You know what I'm saying? And they started making their games, like I feel like they expanded the women to play games more because of these emotional connections. You know what I'm saying? And different types of configurations of gaming. Detroit Become Human. Lots of female streamers will stream these emotionally impactful games. And I, as a man, like to see how they react to a lot of these things. It's great. It's great. Looking at their emotions. Looking at how one of I forgot what her name is, Strawberry or something like that. She hasn't made a video, at least I didn't see it on YouTube pop up in a while. But it was really cool to see her really react to this shit. You know what I mean? React to Atreus acting like a badass. and needed his ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was like super invested in this shit. It was great. It was great shit. But then they also innovated in the service portion. They allow for all free-to-play games to be played without you buying a subscription, which actually spawned. It made the what do you call it? The Lord help me. Let me think. It made the Battle Royale really, really popular on consoles, and just popular altogether. That's them. It being free and accessible to anybody on PlayStation, which had a large user base, really popped that off. They also created this service where you had 2 free games every month. They had it on PS3, but then since they incorporated the online play, it allowed for more people to accept this shit. So they had that. Trophy systems they innovated, which we'll talk about Microsoft in a second. They innovated that, which made people play and finish games. I know people don't like the fact that they're easier to get, but it is incentivizing people to actually finish games. They have all the statistics there, you know what I mean? And Sony's been on that kick to make things more emotional. So they're like covering all aspects, you know what I'm saying? Sex appeal, I want to say sex appeal, but I think that Sony needs to tweak this a little bit more, because I feel like they're a little bit afraid to go down that road and have people complain about the male gaze. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one of the biggest issues that I believe is going on. I don't think they want to touch that, truthfully. And like I said, Nintendo created the Battle Royale anyway, so I can't really give them credit. Not Battle Royale, I'm sorry. The Smash Brothers, what did you say again? The All-Stars and shit. So, there's that. When it came to the PS5, they made it so that 3D audio was built into every fucking console, period. The only thing that you needed was to plug in your headphones, which everybody had, into the controller, and that's the end of it. 3D audio for everyone, period, point blank. And they made it so that you can screen share and watch people play their games directly and pass a digital controller around. Beautiful shit. They also created the DualSense to allow more textile interactions and more layers of interactions when it comes to gaming. Not just regular rumble, but fucking different. You could feel between liquid, sand, glass. You know what I'm saying? Also, in terms of the triggers, adaptive triggers, it is so crucial when I'm playing Gran Turismo to really feel what terrain does what. And it's only getting better. You know what I'm saying? Fast load times. They made that shit mandatory. Mandatory. They went all out. So we got that. The reason why I'm mentioning these pieces of hardware is because it's changing the way games work. Instant playing. You know what I'm saying? Easier to develop environments, which Microsoft actually pioneered when they had the original Xbox, actually. They also make sure that these developers are using these new features to push gaming forward, making it very easy for people to integrate their DualSense and integrate the online play and stuff like that. And that's going to be another topic too, about how these games as a service are going to really kind of change the landscape. People are not going to believe it until they see the new Last of Us, the new Horizon multiplayer. They're not going to believe it until they get that. They're not going to believe it. They're going to say that, oh, they're trying to take our money and stuff like that. Just you wait. Just you wait. Now let's go over to Microsoft, and what did they do? About 21 years ago. When Microsoft came to the scene, they had an idea, 2 ideas. They needed to be the best hardware on the market. And they also needed to be, they need people to use their service, their Xbox Live service. That was a separate subscription of $49.99, I believe, when it first came out. And what it did is it unified the experience of a profile for gaming consoles. which also was complete with I don't know. I don't think that they had the gamer scores in the original Xbox. I don't think they did actually. They didn't have that. It was the 360 that did that. But I'll get to that in a second. What they did was they had a profile where you basically, when you had online back in the day, if you didn't have this integrated profile, every game developer had to create their own chat systems and text systems and stuff like that, and you had to create a username per game. So what they ended up doing is they made it unified. So if your PS network, or I'm sorry, if your network gaming network, you called yourself uh, Slim Rick. Slim Rick will be seen for everybody in every game that has multiplayer. And that was valuable back in the day. People didn't have that, and it was difficult on the developers to create these systems. So now on an OS level, it was automatically done. You just had to basically had a plugin, and it automatically fed all this information in there. But they needed a reason for you to actually buy the service, and what they were buying is the online play and this unified experience. That's what this was all about. And they had a powerful console to boot, so a lot of this shit was. Some of it was 720p, which was unheard of back in the day. Some PCs couldn't even do that shit. A lot of these games were 60 frames a second. A lot of these games had shaders. Shaders are what we kind of deal with now. That makes lighting more realistic. It allows for the individual pixels to be able to cast shadows on itself. And even though it's a flat surface, it gives that illusion. It's more complicated than that, obviously, and they have other things as well. So you had shit like that going on. Cool. When the 360 came out, they took it another step further. What they needed is people to really invest in Xbox Live. So they made a system where you can be competitive on an OS level, which was the gamer scores. So the more games that you played, the higher your score. You could be competitive and say that my gamer score is, 10,000 or whatever the scores are. And it would just accumulate because it was mandatory that, every developer do this. Now, they specifically did this so you can buy into the Xbox Live. So their focus, what Microsoft actually did for the community, for the gaming space, is to really push multiplayer and competitive gaming in co-op. Without Microsoft, it wouldn't have taken off the way that it took off. I hate to say it to you, but that's what it is. All the people that like Call of Duty, all the people that like Destiny, it wouldn't have been an easy and a competitive edge because Nintendo kind of fell back from being competitive or allowing for competitive nature to happen. Their whole system doesn't even allow for that really like that. So that's unfortunate, but that's what it is, right? Then you look at Xbox One. This is where you start to deduct points from Xbox Studios. This is an honest review. Because what ended up Microsoft is doing, I know it sounds like I'm just talking about the console, but this is steering all of the games. How the console functions is how the games are going to be as a publisher. So Nintendo wanted family-friendly stuff. You know what I mean? Things that are fun, things that are kind of like couch co-op stuff. So they never really invested in, online play. Sony stuff was cinematic and single player experiences. And they never really invested into that really until the PS. I mean, I know they had SOCOM, fine, whatever, but they really didn't kick that into overdrive until the PS3. Microsoft has been doing it since 2001 because they always wanted people to buy Xbox Live. Microsoft also pioneered that system for the profile, a rating system for the profile that they call the gamer scores. But then you look at Xbox One and it's like, what did you bring to the table there? The controllers weren't innovated on. You had a weaker graphics, so you wasn't pushing anything. Like, what were they pushing? The things that they were pushing, and this is what got Microsoft into hot water as they were pushing media, TV, apps. That's what they were pushing, and advertisements. That's what they pushed. Unfortunate. And now we are at the Xbox Series consoles, which, yet again, you can't really talk about power because it's negligible. A few frames. Can't talk about easy to use because the way that the Xbox Series consoles work with all these SKUs, it's harder to make on their console. And they're limited by the weakest link as well. The games that they are pushing now are the same games that they've been pushing before. I'm getting the Game Pass in a second, but just look at what's the offer. They got a proprietary SSD that still is extremely expensive and really doesn't have too much to offer in terms of space or anything more than, what is it, 2 terabytes? You still need batteries. Nothing was innovative on the controller. Oh, I forgot about that too. The share play button, or the share button. Sony incorporated that, and Microsoft half did it. Also, Sony incorporated you to be able to upload on YouTube immediately without you needing to do all this extra stuff with apps. They stopped innovating at the 360 era. They coasted. And they were about to shutter the Xbox until Phil Spencer created Game Pass. Game Pass is a wonderful idea for the consumer. It's unrealistic, but it is a wonderful idea for the consumer. It's wonderful. Problem is, you kind of need content. You need content if you're going to create a service that is based off of content. Exclusive content in particular if you want your consoles to be purchased. You know, iPhone just released the iPhone 14, or Apple just released the iPhone 14. And they have that island thing going on, which is very simple. It's just basically an interactive shortcut. But it looks nice. You can only get it there. And people are going to eat that shit up. People are going to eat that shit all the way up. Right? They're going to tear it up. There's a problem, though. There's a huge, huge problem. What is Game Pass? Now, I could sit there and be judgmental and be like, well, you know, the indie games, you can save money, but you still got to have quality games. That's single-handedly saved Nintendo from going under and Sony from going under. It's the quality. Gotta give people a reason to buy your shit. Some kind of emotional attachment. When it comes to Nintendo, it's nostalgia and just being bliss and charisma. When it comes to Sony, it's all the other emotions with it. You know, hate and happiness and stoicism. It's all the emotions that you can possibly have is in the PlayStation Studios, and they're usually exclusive, whether it's timed or not. And if Sony is not publishing these things, they are going to publish other people's stuff so long as it aligns with their vision of that cinematic emotional experience. And now they've already dipped their feet into the multiplayer, and they dipped their feet into services. Like, they really took it there. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I want to be fair. I do. I truly do. I want it to be fair. It's a wonderful, what's going on, Energy? It's a wonderful, 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 wonderful product if you have enough and quality content. Not everybody's going to want like AAA stuff. I get it. First of all, you need a lot of time for AAA shit. You do. You need a shit ton of time. You need a lot of time. But you still gotta have really good, like, okay. Sony released that Rollerblade shooting game. Something that is just that easy. You know what I mean? Stray, another thing. Some people may not like Stray, but you could tell the quality of it. What other things that they have? If I go back and if I look at my, um, if I look at what I have, right? Actually, no. Let me go to the PlayStation Store and see what they have here. You know what I'm saying? Actually, let me go to. Can I do? Let me see. Can I go to the Plus, right, and take a look at the monthly games in Plus, right? Need for Speed. Okay, so I go to the Plus collection. That'll be easier to really take a look at and stuff like that. That's easier. They have Crash in here, which is pretty cool. They have The Last of Us. They have Ratchet and Clank. They have Until Dawn. They have all this cool shit. You know what I'm saying? These are pretty big games. You know, I wish I can go in. Actually, you know what? Game catalog for the extra. That'll be where it's at. View games, so I can see what's going on here. So if I ended up getting the essentials, right? I'll have access to the Yakuza games, Bug Snacks, Monopoly, Uno, Wheel of Fortune. That's all cool. Apparently, the Avengers, Saints Row DLC, Get Out of Hell, Ghost of Tsushima. Oh yeah, Demon Souls in that bitch. Returnal was in that bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's those things. Little Big Planet. You know what I mean? They have small games like Car Mechanic Simulator. They got shit like that. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? They got it. I just want Microsoft to be competitive as well. Like, really, I know that you can save money. I know you can save money. I know you can save money by having Game Pass, and maybe you like the small like little bite-sized gaming. But at the end of the day, you kind of need to worry about other people as well. You got to cover the gamut. You have to cover the gamut. Either way, but that's all I have here. I really appreciate you guys, coming in here, whoever it may be. If you want to see the full show, it is definitely on YouTube at Illicit Therapy. The whole episode is recorded there. And then I just kind of simultaneously stream and then use this what do you call it? Spaces as well. So definitely let me know what you like about this by either tweeting me, tell me what I can do to improve myself. And I think, like I said before, you can, like in the Twitter space, you can see the actual YouTube channel and watch the whole recording there. It's all prettied up and stuff like that. So I'm going to start gaming. Actually, think about my next episode for next week. So you guys take care. I really appreciate you. And peace out.